Good day, learners. This is Teacher Dean. I am your teacher in Practical Research 2. Today, I'll be guiding you on the content of your first module in PR2. So you're ready? Alright, come on. So on the front page of the module, you will see there the title, characteristics, strength, weaknesses, and kinds of quantitative research. So moving on the first page, you have there the objectives that you need to achieve in learning this module. So you should be able to describe the characteristics, strength, weaknesses, and the kinds of quantitative research. However, you also need to understand that while learning in this module, you need to observe the following reminders. First, you need to take the pretest before answering the module. You also need to read the instructions carefully before doing each task. Number 3, you need to answer all the exercises. Never skip one. Take the post-test. And when you take the post-test and when you answer all the activities, use a separate sheet in answering all the mentioned activities. Let's go to the next page. Welcome to your pretest. The pretest is a 10 item. It is in the form of true or false. Read carefully each item and answer as directed. Good luck! Now, moving on to the next page, you have the review. The review includes the knowledge, your prior knowledge about qualitative research, and your current knowledge about quantitative research. I'm pretty sure it's still fresh in your mind, the content, the learnings that you have in your qualitative research. Moving on, let's get started, starting with our study time. So you have there the nature of inquiry and research. Remember, on our previous understanding, that inquiry is different from that of research. When we say research, that is the natural day-to-day activity of gathering information. It may be in the form of qualitative or quantitative. So you all know that qualitative researches are those studies in which the data concerned can be described without the use of numerical data. While quantitative, on the other hand, suggests that the data concerned can be analyzed in terms of numbers, specifically statistics. All right, so moving on to the next page, so you have there the knowledge about inquiry. So in inquiry, in contrast to that of the research, inquiry is any process that has the aim of augmenting knowledge, resolving doubt, or solving problem. So basically, there are those things that we need to understand to determine whether inquiry or research is applicable on the following given situations. So you have there 4 situations that you need to analyze. Good luck again. Moving on the next page, you will have your definition of quantitative research. So, as I have mentioned earlier, you perhaps have that idea that when we do quantitative research, it involves numbers. It involves figures. It involves a large size of respondents. And it involves statistics. So basically, you need to understand those. And those knowledge, you can have that when you read the definition of quantitative research. Moving forward, let's go to the characteristics of quantitative research. So the first is objective. Second is clearly defined research questions. Third, structured research instruments. Fourth, numerical data. Fifth, large sample size. Sixth, replication. And the next one is future outcomes. Now, there are also characteristics that you have learned under qualitative research. And most of that are the same. So it is also objective in nature. The questions should be clearly defined. The research questions should be clearly defined. And of course, the difference is in quantitative research, you have the numerical data. And of course, the large sample sizes must be observed. However, there are also types of quantitative research design that we can also choose that will only require not really large sample. So we will learn that later on. So proceeding to the quantitative research design, we should also know its weaknesses and strengths. Just like your qualitative research, you also learn that on that form of research, there are those weaknesses and strengths that you need to consider. Same as true as your quantitative research. So first, let's tackle the strength of quantitative research. Actually, there are 6 strengths of your quantitative research. You just need to browse it. Well, I can say here that quantitative studies are replicable, standard approaches can be observed, and of course, quantitative experiments are useful for testing the result gained by a series of qualitative experiments or quantitative experiments in general. So that could be very helpful as well. Now, we need to know also the kinds of quantitative research design. So basically, you have there 2 types of research design. So you have the first one, the experimental research design, and the second one is the non-experimental research design. So when we say experimental research design, this allows the researcher to control the situation. In doing so, it allows the researcher to answer the question, what causes something to occur? And furthermore, this kind of research also allows the researcher to identify cause and effect relationship between variables and to distinguish placebo effect from treatment effects. So let's get to know what are those kind of research design that fall under experimental research design. So first, you have your pre-experimental design. Second, you also have the quasi-experimental design. And the third is the true experimental design. So under pre-experimental design, this is a type of research that apply to experimental kind of approach that will list internal validity. Okay, so while the quasi-experimental design, this is more of convenience. Okay, although you are still using the samples, you are still using samples, your pre-test and post-test, but on this kind of design, you will be using the word convenience. Okay, it could be you will be using a sample from a group of class that you belong, because that is convenient and that is in a form of educational convenience, especially right now that we are having a pandemic. So it would be much better if we can conduct an experimental design, but no need to do a random sampling, and that could fall under quasi-experimental design. Next, under quasi-experimental design, you can choose, it could either be non-equivalent control group or interrupted time series design. So proceeding to the third experimental design, you have your true experimental design. So we already discussed the pre-experimental design, the quasi-experimental design, and the third is the true experimental design. So in the true experimental design, you will be doing a random sampling, and you will also be having a controlled group, a treated group, and of course, you will be administering your pre-test and your post-test at the same time. Now, let's go to the second type of experimental or quantitative research. So when we say quantitative research again, it has two major research design. The first is the experimental, which has three sub designs. And now is the second one, you have the non-experimental design. So under non-experimental research design, the researcher observes the phenomena as they occur naturally, and no external variables are introduced. So in this research design, the variables are not deliberately manipulated, nor is the setting controlled. So researchers collect data without changes or introducing treatments. This may also be called as descriptive research design. So most particularly, you are very much familiar with the descriptive research design in your qualitative research. Okay, but here in this descriptive design will include still a statistics. Okay, so that differentiates the descriptive design under quantitative from that of the descriptive design of the qualitative research. So the types of descriptive design are as follows. It could either be survey, correlational. This word is a little bit hard to pronounce. Bivariate, okay? Bivariate correlational studies. And the next one is, you also have there your, under correlational studies rather, you have your bivariate correlational studies. And you also have your prediction studies, multiple regression prediction studies. Those are under your correlational studies. All right. So under this research design, so most specifically, this is about a relationship. There is between the relationship between variables or groups of respondents under the study. So that is the main point of correlational studies. Okay. The third type of descriptive design is your ex post facto or your causal comparative. So this kind of research derives conclusion from observations and manifestations that already occurred in the past and now compared to some dependent variables. So example, a researcher is interested on how weight influences stress coping levels of some adults. So here the subjects would be separated into different groups that could either be the underweight, the normal, and the overweight. So you have three groups there. And their stress coping levels are measured. So this is an ex post facto design because A pre-existing characteristic such as weight was used to form the group. Okay, and the fourth descriptive research design, you have your comparative. Okay, so the fifth one is normative, the sixth is evaluative. So, and you also have there the seventh form under methodological part. Okay. So there are key points that you need to understand in learning the different research design. Most specifically, what is a quantitative research design? So let's get it on. So when we say quantitative research, um, it is objective, it is systematic, um, it has a systematic empirical investigation of observable phenomena through the use of computational techniques. So most importantly, the characteristics of quantitative research include being objective, clearly defined research questions, structured research instruments, numerical data are highly involved in this one, and large sample sizes are observed most of the time. Replication is there at the same time. So you also have there the kinds of quantitative research. You have your experimental design that includes pre-experimental design, quasi-experimental design, and your true experimental design. The second category is the non-experimental research design that includes your descriptive form. Now, your descriptive form has seven subtypes. Some of those are correlational. So just browse it again, so that you will be familiar with those designs that could be applicable on the research output that you will be submitting on this class. Okay, so moving on, you now have your learning activities. So in your learning activities, this is a mind challenge. You need to answer the following questions as directed. Read the directions carefully. And again, use a separate paper, a clean paper, to answer the learning activities. And when you are done, you also need to answer your post-test. So your post-test is in a form of multiple choice. Actually, this is a 10-item post-test. And please understand the questions properly. Now, if you have doubt about the questions, you can verify it with your study time. All the questions here on your post-test are pretty sure relevant to your study time, or the nature of inquiry, what is a quantitative research. It's all there. You just need to read that part again and for you to verify your answer. Okay, so in giving your activities, we have here the following, in grading rather your activities, we have the following rubrics. So 5 points if you meet the criteria satisfactorily or exemplary. You have there the rubrics for your guide. So whenever you answer your learning activities, give it your best. Okay, right. So moving on, these are the references that were used in crafting this module. So give it a browse there, learn from them. You may access or you may search them through the net at the same time for your further reference and for your further research. All right, so there you have it, class. That ends your module 1 in practical research 2. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me in my messenger account. You have that. I'll be glad to answer your questions at the same time. But for the meantime, I wish you all the best. Happy learning. I'll see you again next time.